Okay.
It probably don't like the shoes.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
should we record as well? Should I put my
I'll do it
record
as a
on?
recording as oh no.
Sorry.
Are you just going to ask me questions or did I just say the story?
Well, we just need you to say your name into camera just to start
Just
with.
a second. Let me
Okay.
put this one on as well. Don't care about this.
And then once you're rolling, fine. You know, I'm sure if you need a prompt, I'll give you one.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be for very long, I assume.
Well,
Okay.
no, it's fine. Well, you know, you don't want that light on?
No,
We're
it's
okay
fine.
For lights?
We're okay. We're okay.
Okay. So, and you can talk to me if that makes it any
okay.
easier than
Yeah,
talking to the camera.
Yeah, sounds like a good
Just a
idea.
second. Let me just.
I think you are our next poster boy. Okay.
Oh, no.
No. I just want to show you this, right?
Actually.
I should have worn a flowery shirt.
You should have, yes, you should
I
have
mean,
come in there.
you know.
Actually, maybe I'll ring you up and ask if you could just do the whole thing for the poster.
Oh no. Yeah, okay.
You see, because this was our poster, which
Oh,
is why
that's
you were
better.
sitting on that chair.
Oh right,
And
yeah.
she's got one of each.
Oh right, yes.
But the next bit is like a community show with all the people who've talked to us using their stories.
Oh, okay.
So it would be great if we actually had someone in the chair who'd come through the door. And you're definitely the most remarkable so far.
Oh, right.
It was
Amongst many remarkable people. So I just think it would be fantastic if you could just, what do you think? It's good, isn't it? Yeah. All right then. Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave Carter. I've lived in Bexhill almost all my life, and I've just come with these funny shoes. They were obviously bought in the, well, I can't remember, obviously late 60s, early 70s, when these were the thing, really, and Elton John and all these funny bands had these big shoes, and I thought, wow, yeah, go for it, really. And the story is that I was wearing these and a green denim suit one evening. I can't remember where I'd been, but at the time my parents were living in Knebworth Road. I think I'd come down to the weekend from London, where I was living for a short period of time. And I just fancied a drink before I went home, so I tottered up to the Denby. I've just tried to walk in these, and it's very difficult. So I must have walked from the station all the way up to the Denby, and there happened to be a friend of mine there with a group of people, and so they said, oh, come and join us. So I sat down at the table, and opposite me was this gorgeous girl, you see. So instead of speaking to him, I talked to her all night, and this was the first time I ever met my wife. So we obviously we're married now, but she met me with these horrendous shoes and a green denim suit. So yeah, that's the story about these shoes.
Where you don't remember which club or which place you'd been in? Where listening to music?
No, it was somewhere in Hastings. I'd been because I come off the train. So no, I can't remember where I'd been.
Can I ask you how old you were?
How old I was?
Yeah, then.
About 24. Around about 24. Yeah.
What kind of music would you have chosen to listen to? What were you into?
In those days, I like bands like Pink Floyd and Genesis and so Led Zeppelin and things like that. Ironically, the bands that used to wear these shoes were probably the sort of bands like sort of Slade, I suppose. I suppose I liked them a little bit, but it was more the rock bands really. So I don't know why I bought and wore these shoes, but there you go.
You wouldn't have described yourself as a follower of fashion then?
Not really. Which is even more extraordinary why I would have these. But
And you've kept them?
I kept them, yeah, because people can't believe that obviously they saw them in those days, but I don't think a lot of people have actually seen the real thing, if you see what I mean. They've probably seen the bands like Slade wear them on television, but probably maybe never saw them in real life. So I've kept them, we use them very occasionally at sort of fancy dress places, but I think my son bought them, borrowed them once just to, I can't remember, it was obviously a 70s thing or something, so
But
yeah.
you've...
So I've just kept them because they're, well, you can't throw things like this away, can you? They're just...
Well, I'm glad you hadn't to walk in here with them. But you've brought 2 pairs of shoes, right?
I have.
And there's a sort of connection.
They're just there. Yes, the connection is, I bought these shoes probably around at the same time actually. They've been all around the world. I've been trekking in Peru and Nepal and just walks in the countryside. But the story is that on one of my treks, which was in Peru, which is the Machu Picchu Trail, which is probably one of the most famous in the world, on almost the last day, I proposed to my wife in those. So that's the story. That met her in those and proposed to her in those. And that was at what would it be, about however far, 10,000, 12,000 feet in the Andes.
Can I tell you how your wife-to-be sort of took it? You know, because you meet a guy who's wearing them, and then she says, how about coming to Machu Picchu with me? Well, not in those then. So, I mean, how does that, you know, that's quite a, you know, you see someone looking like that, and then they say, well,
Exactly.
I like walking.
Exactly. I can't remember how long it was after I met her that we went to Peru. It was a few years. It wasn't like tomorrow. Although I actually rang her up after about 6 weeks when I was working in London, and my sister had arranged a holiday in Malta, and I rang her up after about 6 weeks and said, do you fancy coming to Malta with me? So, I don't know, they must have made quite an impression, mightn't they, after 6 weeks?
Okay.
So, yeah, I can't remember, we went to Peru, I think it must have been, I think it's about 2 years before we got married, so I must have been about early 30s sometime. Yeah.
Are you a trekker? I mean, is it your passion?
No, not particularly. We went on, as I say, a couple of treks. We went to Nepal and Peru, and then I've just taken them on holidays, just ordinary walking. So we've only really done 2 really hard treks, 4-day treks like that. So.
You had both pairs of shoes a long time, obviously. A question I've been asking other people, and sometimes it isn't. When you started your journey in those, were you, sort of what were you leaving behind, and did you know what you were walking towards when you got into them? I mean, in other words, it's like, it's really basically a life journey, isn't it? You walked out, you left that behind, and you went. Is it possible to answer that question?
Very difficult. Well, I suppose, yes, soon after I met my wife, having worked and lived in London for a few years, I came back to this area. So that had a big bearing on things. And I've been living here since then, since I was age about 25. So, yes, I mean, they obviously weren't the reason that I'm sure she would have, she would have gone out with me even without these shoes on. I'm sure it wasn't these that she agreed to go on another date with me, but she must have seen something in me that, thought, oh, perhaps this is an interesting character. Yeah.
All right. So we've got the story, haven't we, Dave? Has anybody else? Sandra, did you have a question that you wanted to ask about the?
When's the last time you wore those shoes that you're wearing?
Oh, a long time ago. it would have probably been a fancy dress do somewhere, but I can't even remember, a long, long time ago. Yeah, I do, as I say, I very occasionally get them out if we're, I don't know, some friends come round and we just get talking about things, and so I occasionally get them out just for a laugh, but not for quite a while. They just sit in the bottom of the wardrobe really, just waiting for an opportunity to see the light, but there hasn't been anything for any reason to wear them recently, so they just sit at the bottom of the cupboard.
I can't quite get my head around the fact that these seem to be very extrovert shoes, you know, like notice me. You know,
Yes.
like you couldn't walk in anywhere, could you? Even then, without people
I don't know. I've never been one to particularly wear outrageous things. There must be lots of other people that maybe didn't have these massive great shoes, but were wearing some pretty wild things. You think about it in the early 70s. I mean, everyone was hair everywhere, and you know, brightly coloured things, and loon pants, and goodness knows what. So, you know, just a pair of cream shoes which stood out, and everyone liked to be individual in those days. So I thought, well, I'm pretty individual in these, and a green denim suit. So.
Is there any way that you still express your individuality now? You would say it's something that you really do for yourself, not necessarily anything to do with clothes or shoes or anything.
I suppose I keep my tash because not many people have moustaches. I like to be different. The kids keep threatening to cut it off in my sleep. Never happened yet. And I've never particularly liked short back and sides, so this is quite short for me, this hair. I do tend to grow it a little bit longer, and then it starts getting very curly, and so I get it cut after that, about every 3 months, I suppose. But it used to be halfway down my back, but a little bit impractical nowadays, so, especially as I'm a sales representative, so it wouldn't be a good look, really. So, yes, I suppose I've always been a little bit different. I've got quite an outgoing personality, so yeah.
I'm not absolutely sure that we would do this, but how would you feel about if we just used a picture of you, like right now, like how you are right now for the poster? How would you feel about that?
Yeah, fine. I mean, I'm in a scruffy.
But it's kind of cool, the fact that otherwise you're just like how you work, you know, are.
But that's how I am. I don't particularly dress up.
There's something really cool about that.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay.
Ordinary until, oh, God!
All right then, okay.
But ordinary-ish.
You are the character. When I saw you walk through those doors,
Yeah.
I said to myself, there's a character in those shoes.
So,
Can I
are
ask
we
you
all
one
right?
more
One more
thing?
question.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
What did you learn out of wearing those shoes?
What did I learn? Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know, they're difficult to walk in. I suppose I learned that I was a little bit different to perhaps other people. That's when I realised I was quite an extrovert sort of person, and possibly a lot of other people maybe wouldn't wear things like this.
Well, I'm going to ask you just one more then, which is sort of from that. So between those shoes, it's a similar, I'm trying to phrase it a little bit differently. So between those shoes and those shoes, it's like that particular journey, which has a lot to do with marriage and family, right? In a way, isn't it? Because that's the big picture.
Yes.
Is there one fundamental thing which is like again, nothing to do with how we present ourselves, but more sort of, you know, like inner, like I've learned this. Would you? I mean, it's a big ask to ask you that straight. It's like those interviews in newspapers, isn't it? It's like, well, and what have you learned from life? But I mean, if there is anything, it doesn't matter if there isn't. Would you say?
I don't think so, really. No, I just live as I feel like at the time, really.
That's huge.
I don't particularly follow trends or anything. Yeah, I am as I am, really. I don't change. I had a 60th birthday party not long ago. Oh, that's revealing my age now, isn't it? But that's fine. And my son, in his speech, said, he said, "You are what you are. You are what you get. You know, you wear your heart on your sleeve. You know." And that's true, really. Yes. I don't really hide anything. I'm pretty straight talking, and that's it, really. Yeah.
You've already got grey hair on your head. I can see one.
I know. Yes. I don't know why that, because my dad went grey. Well, not early, but a lot earlier. And my mum's. Oh, perhaps I shouldn't say this, should I? She's been colouring her hair for a long, long time, so I don't know when she first started going grey, but I don't know where that's come from. My brother's hasn't got any grey hairs either. He's 2 years younger, so just lucky, really. Just lucky to have that sort of gene, really. Yeah. And lots of hair.
And lots of it.
And lots of hair, yes.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
thinning or anything,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it gets quite thick before I have it cut, so it gets all curly and.
Well, I wouldn't have said 60.
I only get it cut because it just gets a bit unmanageable, you know, and it goes all curly, and I don't really like it all curly. So.
I wouldn't have said 60 when you walked through the door.
Oh, thank you.
I
My pleasure.
wouldn't either.
I must admit, most people do say are quite
Shocked.
when I found how old I am. It's quite nice. I think it's because I've kept myself pretty trim and I play a lot of sport and eat pretty healthily. So
What's your sport?
I play the racket sports. I play tennis and badminton and table tennis, etc. So try and walk every day. So, and as I say, I've just been lucky in being pretty much the same weight since I was 18 years old. So.
Shall we call? Is that it?
Yep.
You happy with
Yep.
that?
Yeah, I'm happy.
But I'm not sure whether sitting there with all of that behind you, could I ask you to move so you've just got mostly the white wall behind you,
Yeah,
and
of
just
course.
take a couple of stills
Of course,
for the
yes.
poster. Like I said, we'll have a look at it, because it would just be great to echo what we've been using for because it's like a thing in two halves, right? We got this bit, which is talking to people, and then we got that bit, which is a film and a performance based on all of these interviews.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
That's how it's going to work,
Right.
we hope. So having the image reflected like that between, well, you know, yeah, sort of like, yeah, with an actual real person who came in and talked to us about, because that's
Yeah,
what
I'm a
it's
real
about.
person.
Yeah. We're quite real. But
All right.
shall we just do that then? So could I ask you just to
Francis?
Yes.